These days we are discussing about tariffs a lot, right? How this recent judgment of the Supreme Court of USA is going to impact India.
Can you make a rough guess that how many people in India comes below poverty line? Just a educated guess.
What is horse latitude and why it is called horse latitude?
There was a recent judgment by National Green Tribunal related to Great Nicobar project. What was the judgment and what are the implications of it?
The government of Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was dismissed in 1953, by whom the order was issued.
May I come in, sir?
Yes, please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Please introduce yourself briefly to the board.
So, my name is K.R Shantanu. I belong to Kathua district. I've pursued my BA Honours Geography from Kirodimal College, University of Delhi. Thereafter, I did my Masters in Geography from University of Delhi. Apart from academics, I hold a Visharad degree in Hindustani classical music. This is my first attempt in first attempt.
Who is the State Election Commissioner? Jammu and Kashmir State Election Commissioner.
So, I'm not aware of that fact.
His name resembles your name. You are not aware of?
No, sir.
Okay, these days we are discussing about tariffs a lot, right? How this recent judgment of the Supreme Court of USA is going to impact India.
So, the recent judgment of the Supreme Court of USA talks about the fact that these unilateral tariffs as imposed by the United States President Trump, they are not legal, and hence now the tariffs on certain countries have been reserved, and hence the US President has reverted back to a uniform tariff of 10% on most of the countries. If we see the impact of it, especially on the globe and especially on India, first of all, our tariffs are going to come down from 18 to 10% because the recent trade agreement talked about 18% tariffs. Now because uniform tariffs are going to be placed, they are going to come down to 10%.
Otherwise also, how this Indo-US deal on trade that is going to impact our economy?
So first of all,
because there are many who are saying that India has come to the pressure. Do you agree with that? Or we have been able to protect our own interests?
So I think we have been fairly able to protect our interests as far as the import of genetically modified crops and the dairy products and the pulses were concerned. But on the other hand, we've been also able to secure our interests, especially when it comes to technology transfer and military transfers. And also on the other hand, in my personal opinion, I feel like US is the kind of market that India really looks forward to when it is exporting. And also the trade diversification efforts that India was making post US decided to pull out of the deal. These trade diversification efforts are not very spontaneous. They take time to place. They take time to give the benefits. And hence, US, which has been traditionally our export market, it would not have been good if India would have lost its export share for the US market. And hence, given the fact that the trade deal has been there, I feel like the most important thing for India in this deal, even more than exports itself, has been the fact that US is crucial for technology transfers and for military agreements. So in that regard, I feel like India has been fairly able to secure its concerns.
Okay. A related question is do you think India has been able to strike a balance between its economic interests with its sovereign interests in the light of these trade wars?
So India has been making consistent and concerted efforts towards that end. We see that in terms of Nostro and Vostro accounts being established in different countries. We also see efforts to make payments through the channels of rupees rather than the US dollar. So I feel like India has been making efforts towards that end. but still these efforts are thwarted because of the fact that US dollar still accounts for the highest percentage of the currency in which the world trade is carried out. So yes, India has been carrying out these efforts, but again, these efforts will always be met with some kind of resistance because of the fact that US carries hegemonical position not just in the sphere of geopolitics but also in the world economics.
Okay, fine. Shantanu, make us a bit wise on the concept of Viksit Bharat also. Whether you see this as a reality by 2047 or this is simply a rhetoric.
So the rhetoric of Viksit Bharat 2047 is based on the assumption that we would have made significant progress economically and socially by 2047. India has been really progressing forward and marching forward in that direction, but there are still a lot of concerns in that area. The things that we've been doing well are the fact that first of all we've been able to do and fare really well on our economic side. We have become a $4 trillion economy now. On the other hand, we've been also able to arrest the demographic explosion that was happening from the past few decades, and we have brought our total fertility rate down as well. We've also been doing a lot of capital expenditure related developments, and we've been also trying to make sure that our policies are inclusive of the poor and of the socially disadvantaged sections. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of challenges still remain. We have to be really making sure that the benefits that the government is planning really reach the grassroots and they really reach the people for which they are intended to. Implementation has to be made sure that it is done in a more structured and a more targeted way. And at the same time, we also have to make sure that we only just don't focus on the large infrastructure and capital expenditure. We also have to make sure that we really focus upon our social inclusion and social infrastructure as well. So yes, the rhetoric as well in India has huge potentialities in that regard, but a few of the challenges still remain, which we have to sort.
Thank you.
Hello, Shantanu. How are you?
I'm good, sir.
Just now you mentioned that India is fourth largest economy, but there are still some issues. Like, can you make a rough guess that how many people in India comes below poverty line? Just a educated guess.
So I might not be exactly aware in terms of numbers, but the recent estimates by international organizations tell that the number has come around 15% or even less than it.
Which organization?
So I'm not very sure about the organizations, but some international organizations, the names of which I'm not very sure about, but the recent estimates point towards the fact that they're down even less than 15%.
Okay, fine. The number is around recent report. As per Niti Aayog, it's around 16 crore, and as per international organization, it's 23 crore. So we are the fourth largest economy, and 23 crore people comes below poverty line. Do you know the population of Australia? It's 3 crore. Means 8 times the population of Australia is the number we have poor in our country. So you just said that we need to improvise the structured manner development. How are you gonna do this?
So the thing that you mentioned about us being $4 trillion economy and still the number of poor being so large is a classic mismatch case between the fact that the population is huge, but our GDP, our national income is not proportionate to how huge our population is. And that is not the case in most of the countries which we see even have less GDP and less national income than us, but still fare better in per capita income. So in that regard, we first of all need to make sure that the disparities in income are taken care of, first of all. Secondly, because of the fact that a huge chunk of our population is below poverty line, I think taxation reforms and distribution of income itself is not something that can make sure that these people come out of the poverty line. We have to make sure that the government does concerted and targeted efforts towards making sure that these people come out of destitution.
Name that. That's what I'm asking. Give me an example. How? Anything. How you can do that?
So, for example, we have to make sure. So I'll be giving a certain example of
Any
this.
solution,
Yeah.
yes.
Let's say there's a family, and the family is below poverty line. Now, usually we see that the government makes sure, and there are government schemes in that regard as well, which make sure that the kids of these families should be getting free education and a free meal at the local Anganwadi centers. But what really happens is that these kids don't even attend the schools and they don't even get those free meals. So I feel like everything is on paper. We have a lot of schemes in that regard, but then the implementation of these schemes are not taken care of. So rather than introducing new schemes, if we just make sure that the schemes that we have in place are implemented well, I think a lot of change can be brought in that regard.
Do you think, Shantanu, that it's high time for India to look for an alternative for USA? Do we have, rather?
Yes, sir, I feel so. Not alternative as in completely moving and shifting away from USA, but sort of diversifying, not overly relying on USA for
Name me
anything.
the countries.
So I think we should certainly be diversifying, whether it's about our exports or our technology transfers to areas like the EU, to areas like Southeast Asia, and Russia we already have in place. And as far as exports are concerned, I feel like Africa can be a huge market for India, and West Asia as well. So yes, US does not have to be completely sidelined, but yes, our exports and our engagements with the world have to be diversified for sure.
Okay, my last question. What is masala bond?
So I'm not exactly aware of what masala bonds are, but if you allow me, I can take a guess. They are foreign bonds denominated in Indian currency.
But it has been failed miserably. Reason?
So I'm not aware of that particular term.
Okay.
Mr. Shantanu, your optional is geography.
Sir.
What is coral reef?
So coral reefs are the skeletons of marine organisms called as polyps. So when these marine organisms die, their skeletons stack up on one another, and hence they form reefs, which are structural formations at the edge of islands or at the edge of coastlines.
What is horse latitude and why it is called horse latitude?
So horse latitudes are usually a name given to the mid latitudes. They are called as horse latitudes because the air subsides in these areas. They are usually concentrated around 30 to 35 degrees on the either side of the equator. They're called as horse latitudes because of the fact that when air subsides in these areas, there is no movement of air usually, and these areas are very calm. So when sailors used to go to these areas, their boats did not used to move ahead, and hence they had to unload some of the horses that they used to carry, and they used to throw them into the sea, and hence these latitudes are called as horse latitudes.
Okay. Is there any difference between latitude and longitude?
Yes, sir. Latitude is the angular distance from the equator, whereas longitude is the angular distance from the assumed 0 degree, which we assume to be the Greenwich.
Okay. What is deforestation?
So deforestation is the process of felling trees for economic purposes, but it is usually connotated in a negative way because of the fact that the felling of the trees, when it becomes exploitative and when the trees are not regenerated back, then it is called as deforestation.
Okay, my simple question is there any climatic character difference between Köppen climatic character and Thornburg climatic characters? There is any basic difference?
So the difference between Köppen and Thornburg has been primarily that Köppen used capital letters and small letters that were seen as arbitrary by many climatic experts to delineate different kind of climates. But Thornburg, on the other hand, developed certain indexes such as the precipitation index and the moisture index to delineate different kinds of
Okay.
climate.
My last question from the geography. Can you highlight the major mineral resource that found in Jammu and Kashmir?
So the major mineral resources that are found in Jammu and Kashmir are, first of all, we have had the recent discovery of lithium, and the other mineral resources are I'm not very sure about, but we have mica as well. We have some reserves of uranium and thorium in the sands of Ladakh as well.
Thank you.
Hello, Shantanu. I can see that you have got very good percentage of marks in class 10th and 12th.
So.
Why you want to join civil services? Like, why not any other area of expertise? Like you have geography. Why not not doing research in geography, history, or economics? Why civil services? After getting such a good score in your 10th, 12th, and even your honors.
So while I was doing my post-graduation, I was exposed to areas such as governance, such as disaster vulnerability, such as urban planning, urban morphology, such as social structures, political geography, environmental geography as well. And I realized that although academics is a very good field to analyze different sectors like that, I think civil services is something that gives you the opportunity to implement whatever things you study and the challenges you study in these areas. So I feel like my exposure to these diverse fields through my academics made me interested to implement whatever I have.
So
read.
you think you can address all those issues by being a civil servant, but just a while ago, you were very critical of this implementation thing, that India has all the very good schemes, but we are not able to implement them well on ground. So how you think as a civil servant, you will make a difference, which rest of civil servants were not able to do so in the past 75 years? What change will you bring on table?
So I feel like there are certain values that a civil servant must have, which are and which should be absolutely non-negotiable. Yes, we have a lot of schemes on paper, and yes, implementation is a major issue in our country. But I feel like a civil servant, first of all, should have the empathy to understand what people are going through. If any civil servant is able to empathize with people and to relate to their pain, I think he or she will never do any compromise as far as the implementation is concerned, because a hampered implementation is something that is going to make people suffer.
You think that civil servants don't have such values, so they are not able to implement schemes on ground? You are really questioning the civil servants of this country.
So I'm not saying that civil servants don't have the values, but it is a fundamental drawback of the civil services framework in our country, that certain values are sidelined, and personal considerations take the center stage.
Okay, let it be. You are very critical of civil services, I can see that. And you are actually going into that services. Let it be. You have mentioned health and fitness in your hobbies and interests. Can you please elaborate, like what you do to stay healthy and fit?
So I do a mix of cardio and strength training. My cardio usually includes around 1,500 rope skips a day, and I do around 40 to 50 minutes of strength training every day. Also, making sure that I take care of my nutrition as well, and I make sure to have a balanced diet as well.
So, if you have to advise me whether I should go for strength training or yoga for my fitness goals, what would you say and why?
So you should go for a mix of both, I would say, because yoga is something that really makes you do well in your flexibility, and also it makes sure that one is emotionally grounded, not just physically. But strength training is also very important because of the fact that it gives you the benefits of muscle growth, something that comes really valuable when we approach the old age. So there has to be no this or that. It always has to be a balance of everything.
Okay. I have one last question. There was a recent judgment by National Green Tribunal related to Great Nicobar project. What was the judgment and what are the implications of it?
So the recent judgment by the NGT has given the environmental clearance to the Great Nicobar project, which was supposed to be primarily a transshipment project and a port project and some military installations there. The implications for that are double-edged. On one hand, we would be having a transshipment port in Great Nicobar, which will help us a lot in terms of accessing sea lanes of communication, and also making sure that a lot of sea lane traffic around the southern Indian Ocean comes to the Nicobar Islands rather than going to the ports of Southeast Asia or Colombo. So we would be earning a huge revenue from there. But on the other hand, we also have the concerns regarding the pristinity and the fragility of that environmental area. So yes, we have huge benefits from there, but the concerns have to be taken care of in some way or the other. If we cannot make sure that those concerns are taken care of in the same region, we can make sure that we offset the concerns using some other steps that the government takes in some other areas.
Is there any other transshipment port in India?
So I'm not exactly aware of it, but if you allow me to take a guess,
You can guess.
I think there is one in Odisha, the eastern.
You'll go and read about it.
Sure.
Please, sir. Thank you.
Shantanu, you are a resident of Hiranagar,
So,
which is a pure Dogra belt.
so.
But you have mentioned mother tongue as Hindi. What's the reason?
So the reason being that my mother she primarily grew up in the region of Jammu, and she in her childhood as well as in her youth has spoken mostly Hindi. So since my childhood,
but Jammu people, Jammu region is also dominated by not in a good strength, but the district of Kathua, particularly district Udhampur, district Jammu, they all spoke Dogri well.
yes, sir. So on that end, I'm fluent in Dogri as well. But my mother has spoken to me in Hindi since my childhood, and that is the reason for why it is my mother tongue.
It means now at present you don't speak and you don't.
So I'm completely fluent in Dogri, and I understand Dogri as well.
Okay. So you have also mentioned that a diploma was undertaken by you in classical vocal.
Yes, sir.
So what is this? What is the difference between classical vocal and classical instrument?
So classical vocal is the performance of Hindustani classical through various vocal techniques and singing, such as khayals, thumris, whereas classical instrumental uses certain classical instruments like sarangi, tanpura, sitar.
There are some folklores in Jammu region which are very commonly known as Bara, Suhag, Karkan. So what do you think that these can be included into the classical or not?
So these are a part of the folk music of the region.
Can we
of Jammu
include
and
it in
No, sir.
classical?
We cannot include them in Hindustani classicals as far as the rules and conventions of Hindustani classical allow.
This is contemporary folklore.
So
In which category you will include it?
So we would be including these in folk music and not
Folk music. Can you explain some of the few lines of the folk lore of Dogra culture?
So I'm not aware of that. I'm sorry.
Any of the folklore of Dogra culture?
So I am not aware of that.
Okay, so tell us some of the major problems of District Kathua at present.
So District Kathua, because I come from a geographical background, so I'll take that view. Because the District Kathua lies in the Kandi and Babar belt, which is a part of the outer plains, and it is also an extension of the northern plains. The primary geographical problem in that area is water scarcity, and that is because of the fact that
Problems are same in District Kathua from one belt to another belt.
so in and around the Kandi and Babar belt, the geographical problems are primarily the same because it is a contiguous geographical unit. So the problems are more or less the same.
And what at present the problems are facing the people of Hiranagar or the adjoining area?
So in and around Hiranagar, what I've personally observed in the last 7, 8 or 10 years, I've observed that the quality of roads is one thing. Then, as I mentioned, water scarcity is another thing. Thirdly, I have observed that there is this community engagement center that was being developed from very long, but its construction is still
Is there any
not
problem
complete.
related to border?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, okay, the last question is, the government of Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was dismissed in 1953. By whom the order was issued?
So I'm not aware of the exact details.
Thank you.
All the best.